In the small town of Everbrook, where the air smelled faintly of rain and lilacs, there was a girl named Lila Rowan, whose smile was the most constant thing anyone had ever seen. No matter the hour, no matter the weather, that smile lived on her face like sunlight carved into skin. People said she was born smiling, that even as a baby, her lips curled gently upward, as though she already understood something the rest of the world did not. But those who truly knew her, the few who'd looked long enough into her deep green eyes, often wondered what hid behind that endless grin. Lila worked at a tiny flower shop on the corner of Willow and Fifth. Every morning, she unlocked the glass door, arranged the roses and lilies, and greeted every customer with the same soft, unwavering expression. To strangers, she was a symbol of warmth. To friends, she was a mystery wrapped in politeness. Her smile was like wallpaper, beautiful but static, concealing the cracks beneath. She lived alone in a small apartment above the shop, surrounded by potted ferns and fading photographs. No one ever saw her frown. No one ever saw her cry. Yet, behind closed doors, her mirror told another story. Every night, when she brushed her hair or wiped away her lipstick, she would stare at her own reflection until her jaw trembled. The muscles of her face ached, but the smile refused to fall. It was as if her body had forgotten how to stop pretending. Sometimes she tried, pressing her fingers against her cheeks, whispering, "Stop. Please stop." But her lips stayed frozen in that curved shape. The smile had become her mask, and worse, it had begun to feel like her curse. Lila hadn't always been this way. Once she had laughed freely, cried loudly, lived honestly. That was before Ethan, the boy who loved to paint sunlight. They met in college, both studying art. Two dreamers who thought beauty could heal anything. Ethan used to tell her, "A smile is the shortest distance between two hearts." He painted her often, her smile captured on dozens of canvases, each one brighter than the last. He said her happiness inspired him. But as months passed, the pressure to always be his muse of joy grew heavier. She started smiling even when she didn't feel like it, because if she stopped, he stopped painting. If she stopped smiling, she feared he'd stop loving her. Then came the accident. A rainy evening, a car spinning on the slick road, headlights cutting through the dark. She remembered the shatter of glass, the scream, the silence. Ethan was gone before help arrived. Lila survived, but the last thing she saw was his reflection, her smiling face frozen in the window, as he whispered her name. In the weeks after his death, grief wrapped around her like a noose, but the strange thing was, she still couldn't stop smiling. The muscles wouldn't obey her sorrow. Doctors said it was psychological paralysis, a trauma response. They called it facial dystonia. She called it punishment. As years passed, the town forgot Ethan, but Lila's smile remained famous. Children pointed and said she must be an angel. Tourists came to buy flowers just to see the girl who never stopped smiling. Lila played along. She watered her daisies, arranged bouquets for weddings, funerals, birthdays, all occasions that demanded emotion she couldn't truly show. People mistook her silence for peace, her smile for strength. But inside, she was a ghost living in the echo of her own expression. One autumn afternoon, as the sky bled orange and crimson, a stranger entered her shop. He was tall, quiet, with hands stained in charcoal dust. His name was Noah, an artist traveling through towns to sketch ordinary people. He bought a bouquet of marigolds and asked if he could draw her. Lila laughed, a hollow sound hidden behind her curve of lips, and said yes. For weeks, he sat by the window, sketching while she worked. They talked about art, weather, loneliness. He told her he'd lost his sister the year before, and Lila felt a strange connection flicker, like recognition between two broken souls pretending to be whole. One evening, as rain tapped against the window, Noah finally asked, "Why do you always smile like that, even when you're not happy?" Lila froze. No one had ever asked her that so directly. She wanted to say she couldn't stop, that it wasn't her choice, that it was the only part of her that still remembered Ethan. But all she managed was, "It's easier this way." Noah put down his pencil. "You know," he said softly, "real art isn't made from what's easy. It's made from what hurts." His words lingered in her chest for days. That night, she dreamed of Ethan, standing in the rain, paint dripping from his fingers, whispering, "You don't have to keep smiling for me anymore." She woke up crying, truly crying, for the first time in years. Her tears slid past the edges of that cursed grin, burning like acid on her skin. But the smile still didn't fade. Weeks later, Noah brought her a gift, a portrait of her not smiling. It was haunting, beautiful, raw. "I drew what I think you'd look like if you were free," he said. Something inside her cracked. She excused herself, ran to the back room, and fell to her knees. "Please," she whispered to the mirror, "let me stop." Her reflection stared back, smiling mercilessly. Then, for the briefest moment, her lips twitched. A tremor, a flicker, a beginning. But freedom always demands a price. That night, thunder rolled over Everbrook. Lila walked to Ethan's grave with Noah's portrait in her arms. She set it down among the wildflowers and said, "I'm sorry, I kept smiling when you were gone. I'm sorry I couldn't stop." The wind blew softly, carrying the scent of rain. Then she felt it, the smallest release, the corners of her mouth quivering downward. A tear slipped free. For the first time, her face rested. The next morning, townspeople found her sitting peacefully against the grave, eyes closed, no longer smiling. They said she looked serene, almost relieved. Some whispered she'd finally joined Ethan. Others said her curse had lifted. The flower shop closed for weeks, then reopened under new hands. But every spring, marigolds still bloomed on Ethan's grave, bright and golden, as if smiling for her. Months passed before Noah returned to Everbrook. He placed one last sketch on the shop's counter. Lila, smiling and not smiling at once, half in shadow, half in light. Underneath, he wrote, "The smile that never ends isn't the one on your lips. It's the one love leaves behind." And so, the legend of the smiling girl became more than a story. It became a reminder that behind every smile there might be sorrow, behind every mask a memory, behind every ending a love that never truly fades. The town of Everbrook still speaks her name when sunsets paint the streets gold. Some say if you walk past the old flower shop at dusk, you can still see her reflection in the glass, smiling softly, not out of pain, but out of peace. Because sometimes, the smile that never ends is the one the heart makes when it finally forgives itself.